Good morning. It is 6:08 a.m. on Monday, April 22nd, 2019. At least here it is for me here in South Korea. I am Christiana Ellis and I just got up. This is 5 more minutes. Today I'm a little bit in the mood to talk about the season finale of The Magicians, but I'm not going to include any spoilers if you watch the show and haven't watched the finale yet or making your way through it. I'm actually not going to talk about the details of the episode, except to just say that I had a really powerful emotional reaction to it, and even though that, it gave me a lot of these really powerful feels. It was, so I had a very powerful reaction to it in a way that I ultimately felt was, it was a good season finale. But I then stumbled across a Twitter thread where it seemed like there were a lot of people who were extremely unhappy with that particular season finale and were very vehement in their denouncement of the finale, accusing it of falling into all sorts of bad tropes, saying they're not going to watch the show anymore, the whole thing's ruined, and all of that sort of thing. And it just had me thinking about a couple of things. Good morning, JT Clinton. Hello. But so just seeing this, experiencing a show in my own and finding it very powerful, and then seeing that the amount of power in that story could go bad also. I mean, it's one thing, I think, to say that sometimes when people watch TV shows and they want something to happen in it and then it doesn't, like telling a story where a bad thing happens can sometimes in the audience's mind conflate the different, I am unhappy with the direction that the story went because the story made me feel emotions. is something that can definitely happen. But it's also just a recognition, I think, that people want different things from stories. People are not monolithic. And so there is no story, I don't think, that will ever please everybody, right? Because you can have people who say, I watch TV for wish fulfillment and escapism. And so when you have bad things happen to characters that I like just for drama, that just makes me hate the show and I want to tune away. But then you also have people who would watch a show where nothing bad happens to the characters and say, why am I watching this? This is boring. It's nothing like real life. I have no way to relate to anything. If nothing bad ever happens to these people, that's not real characters. That's just, like hand puppets just dancing before the lights. Like, why do I care about that? And so the point just being that I think those of us who dabble in storytelling are going to struggle with that, because on the one hand, you're trying to tell the best story you can, and you have to always, I guess, remember that no matter what story you tell, no matter what it is, there are going to be people who hate it, just because people don't all like the same kind of thing. And what that just kind of means, like in the name of the title I have here, is, no perfect stories. There's no perfect stories because there can be no consensus view of what constitutes a perfect story. And so I suppose if you define a perfect story, you could have a perfect story for one person, I guess, maybe. But even then, I think it's probably people's brains are too complex, even for one person. A story that gives you just exactly what you want, is that perfect? Or do you find that a story that challenges you is more perfect? But, so I think it's just, to some extent, it's a recognition that, it's a balance, because on the one hand, I was about to start saying is like, tell the story you want to tell, and there are going to be some people who hate it, and then you just have to accept that that's reality. And while I think that's technically true, it's also probably true that if you want more people to like it than not like it, you have to take into account some things that might not be at the top of your own personal mind, things that make the story the best it could be for you, the author, might make it something that fewer people out in the real world like, which, at that point, it's kind of a decision you have to make as a storyteller. So, as I said, I'm not getting into any spoilery details about this, the Magician's finale, except to say that it had a powerful impact on me, and clearly a powerful impact on lots of other viewers, even if for some people that impact was negative. They were very unhappy. But I think it's also true that it reminds me, I think the Gilmore Girls was actually a show that was the first one that I kind of felt like I noticed is that sometimes I think the audience just conflates a bad thing happened to a character I like, and that means it's bad writing. They want shows to only make them feel happy, maybe. And so they don't want ever bad things to happen in the show. I don't know. Okay, I don't have anything profound to say about this, I think, except to just recognize that, can't please everybody, right? Like, that's an old truism. That's not new information. Anyway, I'm going to go ahead and leave it there because I have to do a couple of other things, because it's before work for me, but I'm still also, Mike and I are going to be recording, talking about Survivor in about 15 minutes. And we're going to try to do that before I go off to work. So I'm going to leave it here for now and talk to you all tomorrow for 5 more minutes.